So have you ever had one of those songs that you know have more than about 4 or 5 words to it, but you never actually sing them? One that I was thinking of this week is Stuck in the Middle with You. It's from a British band called Stealers Wheel. It's a song that so often we only sing one line, stuck in the middle with you. I sing it much more excitedly when I'm in the car or listening to it on the radio, but I mumble the rest of it. So this week I actually looked up what the rest of the song was. And the kind of context of the song is it seems to describe the rise to stardom of somebody and how there are people everywhere, all over the place, causing problems for this person who has seemed to have been successful. Some of the lines are, I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, and here I am stuck in the middle with you. Of course, the part we always remember. Now, if there's someone who is a major Stealer Wheel fan, I apologize that I'm basically saying no one knows the rest of the songs and no one even knows the one song that they were popular for. I'm sorry. Forgive me. But it's interesting, right? The singer is looking to somehow get out of some place where they are. They don't even know why they're there in the first place. And with the gospel today, I wonder if that's how the wheat might have felt as it noticed the seed of the weeds being planted around it. They, after all, are the good seed. They are the wheat. The owner of the field picked them specifically, and they were going to be good wheat. And through no fault of their own, they end up being surrounded by clowns and jokers. Even more so, and Jesus is telling they're surrounded by evil. And given the option, it would seem that they'd like to find a way, if I were one of those strands of wheat and all of a sudden I saw these Yahoo weeds growing all around me from some enemy of the person who had planted me, I'd probably want to get out of there sooner rather than later. But it's not to be. This wheat is going to be stuck with the weeds until the very end. Stuck in the middle with all of them. I think this parable is helpful for any time we might feel the same way. Stuck in a world where the jokers and clowns might feel too close. And golly gee, right now, we all feel like we've got a lot of those folks around us. And it also feels like we don't have nearly as much of the shared wheat that we're used to having company in the field with us. But I think this story reminds us that sometimes, even in the most difficult and frustrating moments with others around us, there's still a chance to grow. If the weeds were pulled prematurely, so would the wheat. The good wheat, the good plant would have been taken away with the bad. And I think this is kind of the herbicide Roundup approach to garden management, right? If in our backyard we had this major problem with poison ivy. And so after a couple rounds of having to deal with poison ivy amongst my family, I finally said, you know what, I'm going to get the strongest possible herbicide I can, and I am going to destroy this poison ivy. And if I happen to take down some other plants along the way, so be it. And it was incredibly effective, but I ended up taking some good plants, some good grass, along with the bad poison ivy. The farmer, the owner of the field, would have never known if what he had sown truly was good. He would have never had the opportunity to see the harvest. The wheat would have never become what it could be. And in fact, all that we would have known of this story, had it gone from the folks, the slaves that were working for the master said, well, should we go ahead and pull it? And the master said, yep, go ahead. That would be the end of the story. All that we would have known is that the weeds were there and they caused a problem. The weeds would have controlled the story. And this is important for us to remember in any time of upheaval. Our willingness to stick into the world, be willing to be the wheat, means that it isn't only the weeds. It isn't only the clowns and jokers that get to claim the ultimate story of what's going on. The weeds don't get to decide if the wheat stays around. The story reminds us, too, that we're not meant to do the job of weed pulling either. This parable reminds us that we are the wheat, and that we are rooted in the same soil as the weeds. And that's unavoidable. In this circumstance, the wheat didn't do anything to deserve the weeds around it. In fact, it was something larger beyond their control. They couldn't tell you why there were all of a sudden weeds. It just happened as they were growing from seeds and germinating, they happened to see neighbors that didn't seem very familiar and in fact were trying to crowd them out. And this ambiguity that we live in our own lives as wheat amongst weeds, as the one in the middle against the jokers and the clowns, can make us want to head to the doors as well, down the stairs, out of the way. But nothing in this parable says that the wheat is not going to thrive all the same, that there aren't good things that can happen here. There is a harvest to come, and it must be significant enough that the owner of the field says, we are going to go as planned. We are going to continue to work forward, and we'll deal with the weeds later. Everything is on the harvester's timeline. This reminds us that God is in control. God is managing the timeline, and in the end, God will be the one to proclaim justice. So yeah, maybe in the end we are stuck in the middle. But we still can be the wheat that God has called us to be. And that doesn't mean we have to be passive. That doesn't mean that we just are hoping for the best, that we're willing to be bullied by the weeds around us. But it also doesn't mean that we need to try to become a weed or a joker or a clown. We are wheat, and that is who we are. And we can be nothing else but the wheat. But the wheat is good. We're able to be the people God calls us to be in spite of everything that might be around us. And so between this moment now and the harvest, when everything is cleared out and restoration happens and the good things come, and as Paul is talking about, the things that are set before us will be so much better than the current pain that we're going through. Between now and then, we should strive to thrive. We should set good roots. We should sway in the wind, soak up the rain, feel the sun shine on us, see that in spite of the fact that there are weeds around, this world is still good. This world still causes us to grow, and we can still do the thing that we were called to do, no matter the circumstances around us. There are still good things to happen. There is still life to grow. Taking away the weeds means that we take away the weeds as well. Taking away the momentary pain, the things around us, the jokers and the clowns, means that we can't be all that we are. Hope, friends, for the good wheat to grow. And don't worry about the weeds. In fact, it means just as much to believe that there is good wheat everywhere. Let us be that good wheat. Let us not be fearful of the weeds. Let us not hope that they go away, but instead let us plant ourselves deep. Let us believe that there is still a place where we can grow. Let us believe that there is still a place where we can thrive. And let us believe that even in this moment, we are called to be what God has made us to be. Good wheat heading towards a rich harvest. Thanks be to God.